Welcome to the Prospective Doctor Podcast, brought to you by Med School Coach. Pre-med and medical students alike are encouraged to tune in each week for tips on how to become a strong med school candidate, gain acceptance into the school of your dreams, and succeed on your journey toward residency and becoming a doctor.
Hello, everyone. We have a very special guest this week, Dr. Navin Goyal. I'm going to give him an opportunity to tell us a little bit about himself and his journey through medicine.
Hello. Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here and I appreciate having discussions about medicine and everything beyond it. And so I'm happy to be here today and share my story. So my name is Navin Goyal. I'm currently CEO and co-founder of Loud Capital, which is an investment firm that really drives on entrepreneurship, education, and impact. Basically, going back to the beginning, I'm a physician. I'm an anesthesiologist. I wanted to be a physician all my life, like many out there, and worked really hard. Definitely had to probably work a little bit harder than the folks who would walk out of the library after 10 hours. I would have to put in another 2 or 3, and did pretty well. Went to Cincinnati for medical school, ended up matching in anesthesiology at the University of Chicago. Had an amazing 4 years. Once again, there was a lot of people around me that were much smarter than me, and that was intimidating. After I got over that, I started embracing and becoming a sponge and learned a lot. And I moved to Columbus, Ohio, where I grew up, and had a private practice job for 13 years as an attending anesthesiologist. So, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but then I eventually had a couple of entrepreneurial ventures that have brought me full-time into the entrepreneurial space.
That sounds like quite a story, and I think we'll hit on several of those points. My first question, just going way back when, what inspired you to choose the specialty of anesthesia?
Yeah, so in medical school, I really enjoyed physiology and pharmacology. And those two subjects really stood out to me. And so one of the medical students who was a year ahead of me had just done a rotation in anesthesiology, decided he really liked it. And knowing me, and my interests, he said, you should really try anesthesia. And I said, wow, I've never really thought about it. And, a lot of people aren't exposed to it as a core rotation. So we were fortunate enough to have a couple rotations that were elective. And it was very early in my 3rd year. I just said, okay, I'll try anesthesia. And like many things in life, I just had a great mentor/teacher who took me under his wing and taught me a ton. He probably exposed the field very broadly and intelligently in just a couple of weeks. And not only was it cool to do procedures, which I found I really enjoyed, I also liked being efficient, like kind of having a little bit of pressure of time. And that's how, operating rooms run. And again, all the thought processes of what to give, what to look for, what to do next, acting quick, being prepared, all those things really resonated with me. So I will say that was, that mentor/teacher was just so influential and showcasing a positive impression of anesthesiology. And so with my interests and with my experience, I decided very early on to do it.
That's amazing. You bring up a good point of just having that network of friendship that kind of, you were talking about your interests and he was like, hey, check this out. So it just kind of happened by chance. And then you having that mentorship experience that kind of shaped the direction that you wanted to go into. So now you've transitioned away from medicine to become a venture capitalist, which I have to admit is so cool. What sparked the transition?
Yeah, so it was a slow transition, and I like to really talk about these steps because when you just look from the outside of, wow, he's doing venture capital full time, it really seems like a giant leap in a very different direction. But really, it was a lot of small steps that exposed me to a different world and kind of changed my goals. So my first exposure was really angel investing and investing in early stage companies. And that was 2012, 2013. Several years into my private practice, you're done with boards, you're done with tests, and you suddenly have more free time. And, you're working a full-time job, but even mentally, you have a little bit more space. And so what do you do with that? Leisure books, business books I started reading about. I really started veering towards the business side of the Wall Street Journal. And I read about inspirational entrepreneurs and companies doing big things. And I started reading about raising capital to grow and then going to the public market. I was just intrigued. And so I started investing in some entrepreneurs here locally in Columbus, which has a very strong startup scene. And even back then it was really growing. So when you invest money or time into something, you tend to have more care and skin in the game, right? And so I started paying attention, started asking a bunch of questions. So what's your plan here? What are you doing? What did you used to do? And you realize there's just a lot of people from different backgrounds and different experiences who believed in something so great that they moved forward on something. And now here they are, this is their full-time jobs. Perhaps they left a really comfortable job, or this is so important to them that nothing else matters at the moment. So to me, that was inspirational. So that was my first exposure to entrepreneurs, which continued to intrigue me and continue to push me to learn. I co-founded a company called SmileMD. The larger vision is it's now part of a company called Offer Health. And that's a mobile anesthesia company where myself and two other co-founders, also anesthesiologists, also close friends, we decided to start a company that sent anesthesiologists equipment to do procedures in the dental offices. And so many times people are sent to the hospital or surgery center to really undergo anesthesia. It's not like the procedure has to be done in a sterile environment or specifically a hospital or operating room. And so if you take that element out and you can bring anesthesiologists to offices or to where patients are and need help, there's really not a lot of options. Nor is really the field of anesthesiology thinking as much into the office-based care, at least back in 2014. So that was starting, trial by fire. We just started it. We started asking a bazillion questions to people about, hey, what do you know about starting a business, charging and legal stuff and structure. But a couple of years into it, we had a company, we had clients, we had patients, we had, a company that's building revenue or making revenue, which is a big deal. So that started changing my mind about, wow, like we created something together that we didn't know anything about in the business world. And we're learning as we go along. And so I'll pause there for a second because I know I've been answering for a long time.
Oh, no, I'm just sitting here enjoying the story. It just seems so inspiring that you just took like that big leap and we're like, let's try it with your team, and it worked. So you're exploring more. So keep going.
Okay. All right. Just making sure. So we continued to build. We ended up hiring full-time people to help run it. We brought in a CEO from California that was back in 2017. And so my perspective of entrepreneurship was this, like we are building something that is taking care of patients. And by the way, majority of our patients now today, and we're, our company's 7 years old now, are kids in underserved communities who have long waiting times at the hospital or medical centers. In the end, there are dental procedures in kids on Medicaid and a lot of other underserved populations who basically have a 12 to 24 month wait.
Wow.
In the United States today.
Crazy.
Now think about that for a second, right? And so what we're doing now is going to the community and enabling these procedures to be done by the dentists in their practices within a month. And so I look at entrepreneurship as problem solving and building a business model around it. So a for-profit company that is impacting where others are not. And so going into the venture capital, as we were looking for help for SmileMD and trying to get as much knowledge as possible, I realized that a lot of entrepreneurs were looking for funding, and many entrepreneurs weren't, as in a position like us three anesthesiologists to self-fund. But they were so inspirational. They were very interesting. They were doing big things, and they said, we're just looking for funding. So I said, wow, I have a lot of physician network and friends, people who are wanting to potentially get involved in investing in this world. And especially, I'm very vocal. I love talking about investing. I would go back to work and talk about it. And they're like, what are you doing? Oh my God, that's crazy. So I ended up co-founding a fund with my partner, Darshan Vyas, who's an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. We knew each other back at Ohio State early on, and he continued on his entrepreneurial journey. So we got together, we really connected. And we both said, let's do this. Let's raise a fund where we're getting investors who want to get exposed to venture capital, entrepreneurship, angel investing in general, and let's fund these companies. That was back in 2015, and that was the start of Loud Capital. And the reason it's called Loud Capital, because we believe when you invest, it should be loud and active, as in participate, mentor, educate, bring your experience. It's not placing bets like many times we see where, hey, we're going to invest here and there and there and there with an expectation of a lot of lost money, but only a couple going really big to make everyone money. To me, I don't want to waste any time, money, anyone's resources. Let's try to build good things, drive the purpose, drive a business model around it, and build profit, which will help investors, which will help us, but it will also help the entrepreneurs and the problems that they're solving. So all this was becoming solidified as time was going on. My day job at my anesthesia practice, which was a dream job, I just started lacking fulfillment. And I think, helping to build SmileMD and literally knowing that we're now taking care of thousands of kids who I didn't even realize when I was walking to my anesthesia job in my great medical center, that there were all these kids and adults not even like getting near to where the hospital is. I know, it's silly. I just didn't get that exposure. Mm-hmm. So my fulfillment was starting to go down, even though I was doing great work and taking care of patients. I didn't feel very impactful. I didn't see a lot of, as an anesthesiologist, I didn't see a lot of follow-up. Obviously, I took care of the patients. I drop them off in the PACU, and then I would go to the next one. And that's an important thing, but I just didn't feel fulfilled. And so then entrepreneurship was really getting busy. SmileMD was really growing. We just got, raised a Series A and got venture back last year. And now we have a great board. We're in 3 different states. That's really taking care of a lot of, again, kids that my own hospital and other medical centers are not taking care of. So now I have confidence. I feel entrepreneurship is a great vehicle to build value and problem solve. And then also you're engaging the community who's receiving the help of the problem solving, but you also have investors who are asking, hey, why are you investing in this? Why are you paying attention to this? Now it's an opportunity to talk about and educate about what we can do together. So venture capital, when people think of it, I know there tends to be a sexiness to it. I know it's very popular right now, but I really see venture capital as a vehicle to take people's experience, people's capital, and build wealth while problem solving.
At Med School Coach, we know that getting into medical school is hard. In fact, 60% of pre-meds who apply to a medical school don't even get accepted. And if you want to get accepted into a top medical school, it's even harder. That's why more students than ever are turning to MCAT tutoring by Med School Coach. Our tutors are all 99th percentile scorers, have been through rigorous training, and can help raise your MCAT score by 12 points or more. You need every competitive advantage you can get to get into med school, so why not get one-on-one tutoring from Med School Coach? Our expert team will create a custom program just for you and help you master MCAT content where you need the help most. You'll raise your MCAT score. We guarantee it. Visit us online at medschoolcoach.com and use offer code PODCAST10 to save 10% up to $400 on a Med School Coach MCAT tutoring package. You can achieve your medical school dreams, and Med School Coach can help.
I love that, because you mentioned a lot of key points in terms of you had all of these skills. You had your dream job as an anesthesiologist, but a lot of us enter medicine to help people, quote unquote, or impact lives. And you were definitely doing that. But there was something more out there. Like, you realized that there were all of these young people that were not being seen for up to 2 years when you had the capabilities to think outside the box and help more people. So now, even though you're not technically practicing clinical medicine every day, you were able to use an idea and impact lots of patients from a higher level, more than you probably could have in a year at your day job. Exactly. So I find that amazing, and it showcases something that I want to highlight, because a lot of times I know there are a lot of hot topics in medicine now, and I know the students probably aren't thinking that much about it right now, but I know, at least with my group of friends, I don't know, it's that itch where you've been practicing for a while and it's fulfilling. You love seeing patients and all of that good stuff, but you wonder if there's something else out there. And you also wonder, like, okay, I've been a physician for this long. All I know how to do is be a doctor. And could I even get a job at Sephora or Starbucks if I wanted to? Probably not. And you think about like, what skills do I have? But there's something called transferable skills.
Yes.
That you've been utilizing. And I want to ask you, what transferable skills do you feel like you've obtained in medicine that you're using now?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love talking about this because I like to tell our fellow colleague, practicing physicians, medical students, residents, undergrads interested in medicine, anyone in that realm or that mindset. Number one, and let's just talk about a person who's finishing medical school or even, early in their journey, let's call it that. Number one, you've proven how you can learn, right? You can learn. You have the ability to learn and prove it by, unfortunately, you're taking a lot of tests right now, but that is a big deal. There are a lot of untested entrepreneurs out there. If I'm in college and I drop out and I want to start a company, I haven't proven a lot to myself or to others. But if you're a medical student right now, you've proven a lot already to yourself and to others. And that's only to give you confidence, not ego. You've already proven it. So number one, the ability to learn. Number two, the discipline. Whether you pick up information like that or not, you have proven that you can be a disciplined person and be so focused to get in or get through or go beyond medical school. Credibility. Once you have an MD or a DO or various things, you can utilize that in different ways outside of the vehicle of healthcare. And I call it a vehicle because we as physicians, like you said, really have one journey, and it's to do clinical medicine or research, which, by the way, is crucial. It's very important, but I don't want us as a group to feel that that's where our degree is only applicable to. Right? It's really applicable to many other things. And it's not just tagging your name, MD or DO, on a label for a product to put your stamp on it. No. What it does is it's a stamp of credibility. It's a stamp of capability. And you can go out there and do anything. And so I'm going to compare a practicing physician for 10 years, and I'm going to compare a college dropout. And again, there's nothing against college dropouts, but it's really about you have more experience and you've proven a lot to yourself and others. But if you gave the same task to a college dropout and a practicing physician, and you say, start this technology company, and both have the same amount of experience or lack of experience in technology, who do you think has more confidence right now? If you had to guess.
I would say the physician.
I don't know about that. I actually think that, so what I think is the college dropout. I could be wrong, by the way. I'm wrong many times.
Oh, I'm interested to hear your perspective. I'll tell you mine, and then I'll have you counter it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking because, and I think I can see your perspective, but like the physician has already managed teams. They've already kind of had this repertoire of learning. They kind of know how structures work, maybe not necessarily in the corporate world, but there are business structures in medicine. So they kind of have that part. But then I can see the college dropout is fearless. So they've already dropped out. They have nothing to lose, and they're just going for it. So I want to hear what you think.
You're spot on. And outside of and under the college dropout being fearless, I would also say they just have let's call it an average confidence level. What I actually think on the physician side is everything you said, that experience is there. But many times when you leave the field of medicine and the vehicle we have been given, the confidence is lower because you're used to knowing so much and being whether you're a specialist or not, you're just used to being an expert in your domain. And that's how you can manage teams. That's how you relate. You're like, well, I know this. I've studied so hard that's why I can manage this effectively for the best, to cross the line for the best treatment of the patient. As soon as you take a physician outside of that vehicle, it is a little bit scarier. It's definitely foreign. It's more uncomfortable. And this is my, based on talking to a lot of people and my experience with, talking to physicians, they have many times a lower confidence level than that college dropout. And so, but you said it, you manage teams, you communicate, you've worked so hard, you're actually in charge of, living and dying patients. And so apply that, again, not ego, but experience and confidence into other realms where, yeah, it's a technology company. I don't know a lot about tech, but there's other people who can know about it. You still know how to drive results, how to move forward. So I just like to remind our crew about that.
I love that.
At Med School Coach, we know that matching into the specialty of your choice and the residency program of your dreams has a dramatic impact on your career as a physician. And your USMLE score is the most important acceptance factor of all. That's why more students than ever are turning to Med School Coach for USMLE tutoring. Our tutors are all 260 plus scorers and have been through rigorous training. Plus, the average student who uses Med School Coach tutoring raises their score by 23 to 55 points. There is an enormous amount of material you need to know for Step 1 and Step 2, and Med School Coach can help you be smart about how to study. We'll create a custom program just for you. Then, we'll help you master USMLE concepts where you need help most. You'll raise your USMLE score. We guarantee it. Visit us online at medschoolcoach.com and use offer code PODCAST10 to save 10% up to $400 on a Med School Coach USMLE tutoring package. You can achieve your medical school dreams, and Med School Coach can help.
My next question is something also in the finance realm. So in your current field, you work with companies in finance. Do you have any advice as to what types of habits early career physicians should practice in order to obtain financial independence, since a lot of medical students have to take out a lot of loans and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great question because I think about that all the time. In fact, I have thoughts on like what the future of a medical school and what medical students should be doing. And part of that is finance, because I know personally, I was so focused on medicine, and I think I made excuses to myself too, that no, I'm good. I don't need to worry about anything. I'm just going to work so hard that I won't need to worry about a lot of things, which was horrible attitude. I mean, that's like, what was I thinking? So I just like to talk to students and whoever along their journey. It's really great to know basic finances, basic accounting, why people invest. When I was a resident in Chicago, myself and my wife, who's a physician as well, we were both in residency, kind of training in the same pathways. And I felt not wealthy. I felt like we were just, we got a nice place in Chicago and we were just going to work, working our tail off, and any extra money, we just enjoyed ourselves. We didn't do too much. In retrospect, I would have taken some and just started investing a little. And even if that investment doesn't make a lot of money, it's a discipline you're starting. It's something you're paying attention to. And like I mentioned before, when you're putting time and money towards something, you will care more. You will try to learn about it more. And so right now I'm helping to develop an online platform for students and physicians called Beyond Physician that offers courses on financing, investing, venture capital, entrepreneurship, many other things. So I look forward to providing that platform for many.
Awesome. When it comes out, definitely take a step back and come out here and we can talk more about it with the students. I'm sure they'll pose a lot of questions after this episode airs. Now, we've talked a lot about seeking fulfillment in your everyday life and finding out what your purpose is and kind of how to utilize your skill sets. And you've been pretty busy. So what do you do for work-life balance?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll tell you, and by the way, end of 2019, I quit my practice and I'm now full-time running Loud Capital. And I'm on the board of, SmileMD Offer Health and very involved in that. But so I technically don't practice clinical medicine. And so what that did was open up a whole schedule of like, what do you want to do? How do you optimize your health, your sleep, your everything? I've always been pretty disciplined with sleep and exercise and physical wellness. I was never as much into mental wellness personally. I started meditating a year and a half ago. And so my morning consists of waking up, doing about a 10-minute meditation, doing about a 30 to 40-minute workout. And then I either write or read. I know this sounds like almost robotic, but my wife will tell you that I'm almost robotic when it comes to the schedule. So it's about focusing on myself and, focusing on my wellness for the first couple hours each morning. And then I get into my work, which can be calls, going into the office, meetings, various topics. And then I come home and I spend time with my family. I have a wife who's a practicing physician who's extremely supportive of all the craziness that I've been doing. And then I have 2 daughters who are now in middle school. So, supporting them in sports and trying to be there more. So I would say, exercise, family time. And, I'm a person, if you can't tell already, I'm an energetic person and I get energy from other people. So for me, the work-life balance, it's a little bit more of a spectrum right now, but I'm conscientious of it. And I try just to connect with people. And I think this past year has really made us appreciate connection. At least, yeah. And so I realized that when I go and I'm sitting by myself somewhere, there's a little bit less energy. Now, sometimes I need time for myself, but if there's another person there that I want to be around, oh my gosh, it's just so much more fun and energetic. So spending time with people, spending time with family, and focusing on wellness is kind of my balance.
That's awesome. Now, for my final question, I will ask you to leave our audience members with one piece of wisdom that you would like to impart on them as they enter their medical journey, and then also let them know how they can reach out to you if they have any questions.
Yeah, of course. One piece of wisdom I will tell you is that you are entering a lifelong career of learning, and we hear that, but it's not just learning in medicine. You're going to be an incredible physician, whoever is listening out there, but empower yourself with other tools, basic finance, leadership skills, and not the ones that are just offered in a hospital to be a physician leader. No. You are a leader in your career, but you also have the potential to be a really broad leader in society. And that's where I'm starting to really see that crystal clear. So if you want to learn more about my story, if you want to learn, go deeper into the thought process I've had over the last couple of years, I actually have a book coming out next month. It's called Physician Underdog. Moving forward, I'm just so excited because I've actually just finishing like the last touches, but it's physicianunderdog.com. And I've created even a free template to download that has, questions on I think, what is it called? 10 questions every medical student asks about entrepreneurship, because I get a lot of people that ask about the mindset shift and what you're doing. So if you visit that website, there's an option to kind of reserve when the book comes out. But there's also free learning material, and there's ways to kind of continue learning your journey. Again, kind of on the non-medical stuff. I think the medical side, you're in medical school or beyond it, there's plenty of information that's going to be thrown at you to be a better physician in the hospital. Look at me as a resource to be a better physician in society beyond. It's about all these other skill sets. So I know that was a long answer, but I really enjoy speaking and helping people along their way. And I always, when I'm talking to you, which I appreciate this conversation and what you're doing on the podcast, I always think of myself sitting there as a first-year medical student and what I would want to tell myself. So yeah, to all you out there, I hope you're doing all right on your journey. It's stressful, but you're not alone. There's a lot of people alongside you.
That's awesome. I'm so excited for your book. When does it come out? In September?
So it'll come out probably October 1st.
Okay. All right. So that's exciting. Everyone, I would suggest that you go and read more about this story. And hopefully when the new platform comes, you'll come back and chat about that. And for all of the listeners out there, please click that subscribe button. And I'll see you again next week. Bye.
Each episode of the Prospective Doctor podcast is brought to you by Med School Coach. To access articles, videos, webinars, and free tools to help you succeed on your journey toward medical school and beyond, visit our website, prospectivedoctor.com. We hope you tune in again next time.